Ladies and gentlemen, everyone else, it is I, Maris Memes. You might be wondering where I've been all this time. I have a lot to answer for, and you'll probably be wondering where I've been for the last 3 months, what I've been doing, and when am I doing another video? It's time. I can finally speak freely after so many months. There's a lot that I want to discuss today. There's a lot that I'm going to get into, and I'm going to depose myself today. And there's a reason that I can now. I'll get into why I'm deposing myself in a moment. But first, I just want to say I'm finally glad that this case is over. I'm kind of glad that it didn't go to trial. There's certain reasons, as I'm about to explain, why it didn't go to trial. According to an article that I just received today, and I just confirmed it with Carl, that it is legitimate, Billy Mitchell, the infamous fraud with Walter Day and Isaiah Johnson, has finally agreed to settle out of court. It's finally over. He finally agreed that both sides, there's too much shit going on, but Billy is the biggest fraud because he cannot tell the truth. He's not capable of being transparent. He's not capable of honesty on his own, especially with the comment that he gave that was listed in the article below where he's like, I don't know you, I'm not responding. Really? I'm going to get into this today. But first, I want to get this off my chest. A few months back, during the private deposition of Jace Hall, Billy Mitchell and his legal team were apparently, and this is according to what I was told, and this will be all revealed soon enough in a public statement in the next 2 days from Jace Hall on Twin Galaxies. I was mentioned in court by Billy Mitchell's legal team. They were asking questions to Jace about me as if I had some kind of connection to Jace Hall. And I'm going to depose myself now because I've never had a connection with Jace Hall. The only reason this happened is because Billy Mitchell was salty as fuck that I took away Van Buren from him. Well, myself and Carl have convinced him openly, like, look, here's all this information, here's everything we know, and then he made the correct decision himself. It all came together. So he wanted to take his frustration out on me because I pulled a polemic. I tricked him. I'll explain all this piece by piece. So let me do that first before I depose myself. Last year, in the beginning of the year, Carl posted the video about the FAM stick, the Florida Association Mortgage Broker, the FAM stick. Basically, the stick in itself, I wanted to pull a polemic against Carl to strengthen his argument. I pretended to be a Billy supporter in one way or another. I pulled a polemic. I didn't come off as that at first. I tried strongly to not look like I was, but I can assure you all I wasn't. I don't like Billy Mitchell, I don't like Walter Day, and I don't like Isaiah Johnson. Especially Isaiah. Isaiah is the biggest fraud. Between all three of them, he is the co-conspirator of all this bullshit. All of it. He was the one who was pressuring Apollo in private for Billy. He was doing that. He pressured me to remove videos against Empire Arcadia. Against his own little esports team. During the time that I made a polemic against Carl, if you don't know what polemic means, it means I had a strong argument against him, even though technically I was for it. So it was a fabrication that I was creating. I was tricking all of YouTube. I do apologize for that. However, I did so to strengthen Carl's argument in the end. I also did it to reveal Isaiah, because I knew he would have taken the bait like a fucking idiot. Isaiah contacted me in April of 2023 through Rudy Chavez, again, because he's done it twice. He tried to contact him to get an interview with me to go after Carl, because he remembers that I was Apollo's right-hand man, essentially, in all this shit. And if he could get an opinion from me to go after Carl, that's another little crony besides Van Buren at the time. So they were looking at it as a benefit if I were to talk to them. But then the moment he realized, oh, wait a minute, he was looking around at my Discord server, he saw that I was still supporting the idea that Billy's a fraud. He backed out immediately. I put one message in my own Discord server, still thinking that Billy was trash. That's exactly what I said. And immediately upon saying that, the next day he backed out of talking to me altogether. Then I made fun of him with an image of Rudy Chavez with a trash bag over his hand, replicating a Power Glove where he does this stupid fucking stance. I don't know why, Isaiah does this thing with a Power Glove and does the "you can't see me," but I don't want to see you. Your hand's probably crusty underneath the glove anyway. But I digress with your. I digress with all this. So let me go to my deposition. I'm gonna do this in one shot because I already did one take earlier. I don't have a script in front of me. I do have the answers to the deposition I'm going to be giving myself. For those that don't understand what the deposition is, it's basically where I would be asked questions by a lawyer or an attorney. In this case, I'm not in court. I don't have to do this. But I'm doing this for the sake of transparency, something that Billy Mitchell was never able to fucking do once. Especially when he was asked by the community at Southern Fried Gaming 2018, where he's like saying, I wish I had it. I wish I could give it to you right now, but unfortunately, I don't have it. It's because it doesn't fucking exist. And it never did. So, let me get to my deposition. And I'm going to go to the very top because I read all this off already. And this is going to blow everyone's mind, but all of what I'm about to say is true, and I have exactly no reason to lie about this. Look me in the eye. I have exactly zero reason to lie about this. Okay? So, have I ever met Jace Hall in person? I'm going to keep my glasses off so you can read my eyes and tell if I'm lying or not. Have I ever met Jace Hall? No, but I believe the first time I saw him was years ago at a Philadelphia convention. And again, I have all these answers already written down. That's the only part of my script that I have. Can't recall when, but I never approached him as his baldness reminded me of Saitama from One Punch Anime. I decided to be funny with that answer. I have no idea why. Has Jace Hall ever paid me to do anything? No, but I welcome the idea of considering to work on his web code. The Twin Galaxies website can be laggy at times and loading a lot of excessive data and can probably be reduced greatly. Have I ever spoken privately to Jace Hall? Yes, I'm a member of Twin Galaxies. There are times where I upload scores, or, I have one upload, but I tried to upload another one a few days ago, and it just didn't let me. The only other time that I would speak to him privately on Twin Galaxies was when there is a track set issue. I had an issue with one of the Fallout New Vegas tracks where it was technically considered a duplicate and didn't have the correct rules. Other than that, I think I asked him an unrelated question several years ago over Facebook, which he never replied to, and it was during the whole thing with Apollo Legend. I was asking him, when are you going to remove the score with Billy Mitchell? And this was prior to the removal, so I don't know. He was probably thinking of his own thing at the time. Has Jace Hall ever told you anything regarding the case with Billy Mitchell or Carl Jobs? No, he wouldn't speak about it. In fact, I'm kind of thankful he did. Or that he didn't. Jace is smart enough to know not to speak while under litigation. He's just that smart. And that's pretty fucking intelligent of him. I respect him for that. Have I ever told Jace Hall anything about the case with Billy Mitchell or Carl Jobs? Have I ever told him anything that I know about it? Completely unrelated to my answer. It wouldn't really matter if I knew anything, even if it was confidential, because I'm one person. What am I going to do with this information? What does it actually matter at this point? That's all I have to say in regards to that, but let me give the answer to this. I get messages on Discord by strangers all the time. I get emails from strangers all the time. People trying to leak stuff to me. People giving me information constantly. They're like saying, hey, get well, or here's this, and oh, check this out. Check out this article. Read this, read that. It's shit that's handed to me every fucking day. I can only make guesses on who they are, or unless they tell me otherwise. At the end of summer 2023, someone on Discord who now deleted their user, so now it just says deleted user, and deleted all their messages afterward. For whatever reason, and I don't know why, they sent me what they assumed was Walter Day's confidential deposition before it was even released. Some of the stuff seemed legitimate, and later on they revealed bits and pieces of the deposition or certain answers that Walter had given. And it was already stuff that I knew from investigating on my own back when I did the Twin Galaxies ownership video. So I did a Twin Galaxies ownership history video where I went over the 8 owners of Twin Galaxies that not even Jace Hall knew all the information about. But I went through all of it, and when it came to stuff, when it came to, like, for example, the sale of Twin Galaxies, like some of the sales, like for example, Richie Knuckles didn't technically get the title of Twin Galaxies, even though he had full control over the website for a time. He didn't exactly buy it under legal precedence by the actual owner because of a situation to where Pete Bouvier didn't purchase the whole rights to it, so he sold it under the table when he wasn't technically allowed it to. Um, the rest of it couldn't be trusted to be valid, so I tossed it, the whole thing. I let Jace Hall know via Twin Galaxies in private messages that some random who I have no idea who the fuck it was, could have been from either side or just some random piece of shit fabricating something. So I let him know that someone tried to leak what assumed was Walter Day's deposition to me. And after that, I turned off accepting messages from strangers. Still kept getting emails, but I ignored all of it. Have I ever met Billy Mitchell in person? No. But if I ever did, and it was at a recorded event, I would probably do what Apollo did, just like dress up as Billy Mitchell, put on this, shit fucking hair where I put it down, I grow out my stash again, put on a shitty suit and a fucking rainbow tie and a giant Yosemite Sam fucking mustache or something like that, just to be funny. Walk up to him, ask him a bunch of silly questions, wear a silly beard or draw one on with marker and just like, make fun of his tie and silly things till he walks off like he did with Apollo years ago, with Carlos Pinero on scene. If you all remember that video where he's sitting there answering questions and he walks off scene and then you can see Carlos in the background say, "Yay!" Yeah, I wanted to joke about that. I'd probably recreate that scenario as a joke, but at this point I don't care. Has Billy Mitchell ever tried to contact you? No, I'm pretty sure he's terrified of me. From what I know, and how articulate I am, and the fact that he tried to manipulate me through Isaiah Johnson, I'm pretty sure I can do whatever the fuck I want at this point, and he would never try to touch me. He could try to depose me as many times as he wants through Jace Hall, and he could probably try to do so through Apollo asking the questions when he was alive, and probably try this. He probably might try to do it through Carl. Fact of the matter is that this whole thing is done. It's done. Even if I do show what's on here. That was my trump card, and I won't have to use it now. In fact, I'm going to wipe that. I'll explain what this is in a moment, but I'll get back to that. But yeah, I have never been contacted by Billy Mitchell. I know how to get into contact with him if I ever need to. I know 3 people that know him by name, that he trusts that he would actually answer the phone for. Don't need to really talk to him. Have you ever spoke to Billy Mitchell in private? No, he has me blocked on X, formerly Twitter, and Twitch chat ban because I asked, or no, I think it said something along the lines on Twitch back then. I said Tim Sherby is the King of Kong, and I think I asked about the girder finger too. I said, "Is that a girder finger?" Just fucking with him, and that occurred years ago, around the time Apollo was still alive. There was a time I considered speaking to Billy, and even though I have the third-party connections to do so, um, I had specific questions I wanted to ask him, but I feel like he wouldn't have spoken to me openly about them. So I said, "Fuck it, there's no point. He's not going to be honest. If he's not been willing to be honest for all this time, all through Carl's lawsuit that he filed against him, there's no way he's going to be fucking honest with me." Next one. So I just refrained, by the way. I just refrained to bother to talk to him. But next question. Have I ever talked directly with Carl Jobs? Basically him going after me in response to the polemic. That was completely on me. I deserved that. The only reason was, that was done. I made a video publicly asking about the red stick from the fan photo. Was it legit or if it was not an OEM? I did this as a polemic and an attempt to counter-argue with, with Carl at the time in order to not kill the attention, because during that whole year, there wasn't a whole lot of shit going on with the court case. There really wasn't. Outside the whole thing with the plaques, there wasn't really any talk about the case at all. It was delayed, silenced, deposition after deposition that was marked confidential by Billy's team repeatedly over and over and over with no fucking transparency. So there was a lot of dead moments on social media where we weren't getting any news about it. So I figured that this is the best time to destroy any kind of defense that Billy could come up with. If I figured the chance of it not going to trial that exists because there was too many people on both sides. There was Van Buren, who had um, Billy Mitchell's legal team in his fucking ear and Twin Galaxy's legal team in his ear. And then there was, Carl, and there's multiple different people online and personalities that are hearing things from both parties, and they keep involving too many people. It's misconduct in court, and that's what happened in this case. I already kind of foresaw this happening back in November, as early as that. Like, it started to look more and more transparent that that was going to happen, that Billy was going to have to settle outside of court, because why else delay for 3 months? It just didn't make any fucking sense. It just sounded like to me that it took the judges everyone involved way too much time to evaluate what was going on, that it would never have happened to begin with. Now, had it happened, if I was dragged into court, I would have invoked this. This, I'm never going to reveal. I will only say this. This contains a hard drive copy. This is a 2 terabyte. It's an old piece of shit Porsche drive. You can look one of these models up. I'll even present the model number on the bottom. It's right there. It's a serial number for the product. It's really old. It's partially damaged. It's in a .rar file that I kind of fixed. It's multiple files technically. It has the Twin Galaxies admin form before, and it's completely readable because I managed to get into it because of a certain individual who I'll go over at the end. But it contains conversations that if I were to give this out, I mean, it destroys everything. It destroys a lot of credibility. It's a lot of Twin Galaxy staff members talking about certain things that they really should not be speaking about, like deciding to want to take down certain records because they hate certain people, that sort of thing. So it's a little prejudice and bias, but we don't need to get into that. We don't need to get to that point because then it'll open up a shit can of worms of so many other scores, so much other bullshit that we don't really need to get into it for invalid reasons altogether. So, but if I ever had to reveal that, it's there. But I'm more than likely going to wipe the drive clean because I don't need it at this point. But let's go back to my question. I devolved off. My apologies. Have I ever talked directly with Carl? But I did so to strengthen his argument about asking about the part number to the stick itself. If I was able to get a part number for the stick from the sources that Jason and Carl were using, and this was presentable in a video, this would destroy everything that Billy had. Carl unfortunately didn't put the part number in the first video, the one video saying this photo is now proof that Billy cheated. If he had put the part number in that video initially, I would have never made a video at all. And I even told him this. I'm like, look, if the part number, if we're able to find out what it is and it says that it's an 8-way in a manual for whatever game it's from, that's a slam dunk. We found out what it was. It was a Superman stick. I have the number off the top. I think it's a TKG 210-010 0110 or something. I don't remember the exact number, but I think it's 1010110 or some fucking number. But regardless of the case, whatever the part number is right now, and I'm probably going to confuse it in my head multiple times, but it's listed as a red 8-way control stick. Which, if you know Donkey Kong using an 8-way stick, you can manipulate the barrels. And it just already looks suspicious as it is. There's no record of the video even being done. So, what are you going to do? But yeah, me and Carl had a YouTuber persona go at one another. After another several months, we were able to prove that was OEM, or under Twin Galaxies special rules, some kind of acceptable retrofit, which if you don't know, Twin Galaxies in the past would accept certain conditions or certain regulations. For example, Roy Schild's missile command score when it comes to the trackball. Someone else, I think it was Tommy Rivers. I don't know if I got the Tommy Temple. Tony Temple. Tony Temple. I don't know why I'm getting these names mixed up, but Tony Temple had a different score using a different trackball setting, a different size trackball, and both scores were accepted. And I believe Schultz had approached Walter Day in the past on video recording, and Walter was just all over the place making up bullshit. He's like saying, "Oh, this was accepted, but this is here," and not being vague. But yeah, under certain circumstances of old guard, there was times where there'd be bullshit like that. Um, but I wanted Carl to be 110% right. There's no room for error. There's no bullshit excuse that Billy could twist at this point, because there isn't any. There's nothing that Billy could use. I could drop that and it wouldn't even matter. Billy's screwed either way. I believe prior to Carl with Apollo, and even before Apollo, through, I'll get to this one, and that's where I got the hard drive from, that Billy Mitchell, Walter Day, and Isaiah Johnson have always manipulated a situation to their benefit. The three of them together, nothing short of fraud from the start. Always. And I've never devolved from that thought. Has Carl Jobs ever told me anything confidential about his case with Billy or Jace Hall? No. If it was marked confidential, he didn't tell me anything about it. Him and Jace wanted to be transparent for a while. Myself included. He refused to tell me anything that was confidential, though. Which is the correct move to legally do, because, I mean, he would never tell me, and I already told him I don't have any interest getting dragged into court. I have two reasons why I didn't want to get dragged into court. One, I would have to drive from New Jersey to Cali on my own expenses. Now, I don't know if Van Buren would have gotten dragged into court, but he was from Ohio, and he would have gone to Cali, and that's about halfway across America. I would have had to travel across the fucking country for a fucking little rinky-dink court case just to hand deliver this fucking thing. Not really worth it. And to depose myself, which I'm doing right now. Again, not worth my time or effort, especially when I have nothing to lose by doing this, so meh. And that's what transparency's all about, Billy. Maybe you should take a lesson. But to go back here, I have no interest in getting involved in the lawsuit, and simply stating from one gamer to another that the score in questions on Twin Galaxy, specific scores in question, it's been disputed, like Contra 3's record, for example, on Isaiah. The dispute process has issues which are manipulated, so, again, there's times where I've gotten a question, or had a question, but didn't get the answer to it. So if it was something that was confidential, he couldn't tell me. Fair enough. I can deal with that. I could go about the next day, go to work, and be like, all right, whatever. Have I ever talked to Isaiah Johnson directly? Oh boy, this is a fucking long one. Yes, I have, on recording. I've talked to him a total of 3 times, ever. If you could even call the third one direct talking. Here we go. The first one was on a live recording. I did a video on Empire Arcadia a while back called Empire Arcadia Cheating, ? But that video, I record myself and I record Isaiah and my first ever interaction with him. And I have it documented, where he started calling me a cell and a spy on all these things when I simply asked if he had a record for a game. If he had a video recording of the record. He's like, why on earth are you asking me about a record I did years ago? I mean, I got my record of fucking Fallout 3 recorded from years ago. I still have the recording of that. I mean, it's not rocket science to hold a recording or to have it uploaded somewhere. If he was transparent about his Contra 3 score, it would have already been fucking known at this point, but I don't want to get into that. I could sit here and have a fucking tirade go at him regarding that, but let me go back to my answer. The first one was on live recording, when he was live streaming Fortnite with who I'm assuming were children playing with him. Multiple times did he reach out to me on YouTube via comments, trying to have me pull the video that I have against him via Empire Arcadia, the Empire Arcadia cheating video in question. Isaiah's esports team, they helped manipulate the votes on the Contra 3 dispute for his record. by literally saying, "Here, vote this, vote this." He was telling people who to vote on in his own little Discord server. He was telling people, "Guys, vote on these disputes. Vote yes on this, yes on this, yes on this, and no on this." And they were manipulating the vote system in order to pass a score, in order to pass the dispute, to get all the other accounts that they were circumventing to vote. On top of that, uh, unfortunately, I'm deferring again, but my apologies, but I'll explain this. They got Dave Hawkset involved, who was the head custodian for that, and Isaiah was openly emailing Dave Hawkset during this time and manipulating the vote, saying that there was a witch hunt, that Maris and all the Twin Galaxies and other fucking people and Apollo, they're all out to get me, and da 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 da. And fucking joke. I had after a while, I saw Jace Hall accepted the dispute because Dave Hawkset fucked up. And he just said, "You know what? The dispute's closed in favor of Isaiah. He just swept it under the rug." And I think it was because Dave Hawkset got involved and had to step down that they had to pull the whole thing because they didn't know what the fuck to do. Even though myself and Drifter showed that there was an abuse on Contra 3 Alien Wars where they had to have at least leached for 20 minutes, if not longer, on the final boss, almost an hour. Drifter has a video recording of him doing an entire maxed out score on Twin Galaxies. If all of you stop right now to go look up on Twin Galaxies Contra 3 Alien Wars, go look at his video. He went to GDQ. He did a great job, and he did a great run of those games. He loves Contra 3. I'm pretty sure he's still playing, too. He's still a Contra 3 player. Go watch him. He's great. But divulging back here. Eventually, an ex-member of Empire Arcadia by the name of Rudy Chavez reached out to me at some point, and he reached out to him. Got him a call, and, well, not even a call. We got on a private Discord server together that was called Generic Server. It was a black icon. It was on September 22nd of 2018. I got into a private talk with Isaiah and Rudy, and the point of this was because I got tired of Isaiah throwing fucking temper tantrums. Like a little kid who didn't get a fucking chocolate bar at the grocery store while in line with their parents. Like, it got super fucking annoying. I couldn't tell you how much of a whiny bitch he was. In all honesty, it was super fucking annoying. Even Chavez thought he was a fucking joke at the time. Like, I was kind of like, dude, why are you complaining? Why not just prove me fucking wrong? Or show me something instead of throwing a fucking tirade and being a fucking baby. Like, really. Man up. Like, in all likelihood, just do it. I said I'm done, and I removed my videos about him after Jace backed down and didn't remove his score on Contra 3. He pulled the same crap he did with Apollo and Billy on me. Basically, he's like threatening me legally. I only took my video down as I got tired of just hearing Isaiah whine like a fucking bitch, as I said, and this is exactly what I wrote. To other people that are irrelevant, rather than prove me wrong like a man. He was not able to prove myself wrong. At some point, even in Glendo hopped into a Discord server that he was sitting in voice chat, and mocked him live, saying, "Haha, you're getting called out as a cheater on Contra 3. You're caught, man. You're leeching excessively. Ha ha ha." I remember that in Glendo. You did a good job as TG staff. You should go back to doing that job if you're not. I don't remember if you are, but Godspeed the rest of your career. But now, his esports team, Empire Arcadia, as far as I'm aware, they're not active. Because Isaiah's just been bed camming. His wife, he's been bed camming his wife, moving around fake plaques, not even 2 months after trying to interview me. Which I get. Which, let me go back to that. Isaiah tried to reach out to me last year, April 2023. That was the third time that he tried to reach out to me. And that time, or that we have ever had contact, he contacted Chavez again years later and wanted to get an interview with me because it was pulling a polemic against Carl. He figured that since Billy and him only had Van Buren to manipulate online, that they could manipulate me. I basically got the fucker to leak himself. Just to reveal himself like an idiot in all of his intentions. I still knew that he was involved with Billy Mitchell in one way or another, pretending to do nothing but bed camming his wife, Niall, which is really embarrassing. But if my esports empire was built on failed promises, dine and dashing, bed camming, and non-gamer drama, I wouldn't have a fucking esports team to run, Isaiah. Especially with all your fake Guinness World Records that are esport team records that, you forged at 8 on the break. I know about that. I thank Frico for that. There's no proof of that ever happening, but I'm pretty sure someone out there at 8 on the break, if that place is still open or if it's shut down, or whoever used to run that little barcade, if you can even call it that, someone's probably been a witness to all of it, if not Frico. There's probably multiple people there that could say that, or multiple of your own Empire Arcadia buddies that are kind of disgusted too with what you've been pulling that could probably come forward to me privately and say this. Because I'm more than happy to talk to anyone that wants to come forward about that whole event. If any of you in Empire Arcadia were ever at 8 on the break and were ever involved in that, contact me. Let's talk. I'd love to hear more. Next one. Has Isaiah Johnson ever tried to talk to me after September 22nd of 2018? And this is the third instance, and I already went over this. Yes, he tried to use his ties with Rudy Chavez to speak to me again, as I believed he was making an attempt to manipulate my views. At the time, I was against Carl, and he reached out to me around April 2023 trying to interfere with the public opinion of Billy Mitchell like I thought he would. That was all planned. That was the second part of my polemic against Carl, to strengthen the argument. I knew he would do this just months prior to the case discovery of Isaiah moving around plaques. I knew at some point, and I'm not certain if this has already happened, but I'm pretty sure Carl probably will tell me if I ask him. I'm pretty sure Isaiah has tried to manipulate Carl in some manner at some point, threatened him legally or some way through Billy's behalf. It's probably happened or is about to happen. So I can already foresee that happening next. Carl, don't. Not worth it. The guy's a moron. The guy's got nothing. So, that's my whole deposition. That's all the things I wrote down. I could sit here and answer questions if I have ever been in contact with Apollo, and if I was one of his Discord staff members. Yes, I was a Discord staff member. Did I have access to like a private channel? Warfare told me not to answer this, but yes, we did have one. It wasn't of anything significant. It was the same stuff they were pretty much talking about in general chat, although some of this was a little bit more niche. Like we were receiving dox threats and such, but I don't want to get into that. Off topic, Baja Blast is back this year permanently. Made me a happy camper. I don't have to go to fucking Taco Bell anymore for a good flavor. But my other reason for not wanting to be dragged into court, and that I'm glad that this trial is over, and it's the reason why main reason that I've kept it to myself all this time. A while back, I told Carl that I had an internship out in Ohio. I work a warehouse job. I came back early for a different reason, and my mother is not doing well. She's just been getting progressively more and more ill, and I just had bronchitis recently, and let me put it this way, she's basically been in bed for 3 days without eating, and she just got up recently, so I'm kind of happy. She was in the hospital for a short time. It's not doing well, and I've been on hold for that. I don't want to go across the country to hand deliver something like this to Jace Hall, or I don't even want to risk transmitting this for it to be copied. I don't want this to be transmitted online. I don't want to give this to anybody because I don't want it copied at all. This should not even exist. Let me explain what this is and how I have it. Prior to Apollo and Carl ever making any kind of mention about Billy Mitchell, and mind you, I was in contact with Apollo for the time, and obviously I'm against Isaiah more than anything. There was one individual that was alive that knew that Walter, Isaiah, and Billy were fucking frauds from day one. He even explained how the Video Game Hall of Fame was nothing but a money funnel, where they were just taking donations under the table and pocketing it for a fake organization that's not even real. And if you don't know, this is where all the plaques were being moved around at. I'm going to reveal this card. This is a death card. I went to an open casket viewing. The name on here is the name of one person and one person only that knew everything before it even happened and had evidence, strong evidence, that he left behind of a admin database prior to Web Insignia's takeover that Jace Hall doesn't even have. I have the one and only copy. Jace, if I reveal this name on this card, and when I do, when you watch this, I hope that you unban him. I really do. I know he's banned for life. For a lot of shit talking that he did. Mind you, he was a shit talking asshole. Let's be honest here. He was a fucking dick. But the guy was honest. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have this information. If I went to trial and was dragged into court, I would have given this. This was my trump card. This has conversations of Twin Galaxy staff members back in the day arguing, some of them complaining. But I found one interesting thing, and it was one and only one record of this. And it took me a while to find it. Between working like a fucking dog the last 3 months, because it was peak season, you got holidays, people are buying a lot of shit, I'm working at a warehouse, I'm being driven mad, working multiple fucking jobs. There's a conversation on here where one of the staff members was talking about how Billy never went. Apparently, he never went and did a score. The third score that he did never happened because he was never there. Apparently, he was at a bar. And that's on here. By one of the staff members that he was hanging out with that night. I have no idea how valid that is, because it was just one staff member saying it. But I'm not going to go into detail of who, because I don't know who they are, because it's just a username. And half of the information on here is in .raw file. If anyone knows what this is a very old hard drive. This hard drive is corrupted. It got damaged in a thunderstorm. There was a really bad storm we had here in Jersey a few weeks ago. It got fucked up. But I managed to recover it. Just barely. And I don't think I'm going to need this information now that the case is ended. I wasn't expecting it to end. I was expecting it to go to trial. Carl just seems like he's kind of shocked that I thought that it's a good thing that it didn't go to trial. He was expecting me to want it to go to trial. I didn't want it to go to trial because I didn't want to end up involved. This would have gotten me involved. Let's be honest here. If I have something like this has things that are like backup copies of records that are lost. That aren't even, there's some records on here that aren't even on fucking Twin Galaxies right now. And there's copies of it. Jace could fucking pay me for this, but instead, I'm going to get rid of it. Because this, I have no idea was fabricated by fucking Rudy. I have no idea what it was. Or if I can even trust it. As old as it is, and some of the things that were said on there, I think it's the real thing. But I don't want to rely on it. And I'm kind of, I'm grateful we never went to trial. I'm going to get rid of it. Even if there are other records from past that aren't on Twin Galaxies, even if there's a chance of them being on there, there's no way to verify them because of the original verification methods or the original files aren't there. For example, if there was ever a videotape that was sent in or an NIP file, if there was ever a file sent, it's not saved on that hard drive. It's only the adjudication, the name, and the score. That's it. And forms. It's only letters. There's no files or nothing saved to it. It's in an old .db file that was corrupted into a RAR. Multiple. And it took me a while to decipher and decode all of it and get it to work again. And there's no point. But that one conversation alone that I found pretty much cements it. Billy's a fraud. Billy never went to do the third score. He was never there. He was at a bar with some friends. Don't know what bar. Not even sure if that even happened. Not even sure if that's even true. You can't take my word for it. You can only take the word of a dead man, right? Dead man that knew everything before it even began. Well, I hope Rudy and Apollo can rest now. And Schultz if he's still alive. I'm not sure if Roy Schultz is still alive. I had a whole video planned out explaining all of this, but now that there's no trial, Billy's pretty much irrelevant. Carl has it slam dunk. He knows what the part number is, and it's an 8-way. There is no way otherwise. And on top of all of that, we also have the confession that he made through David Race's audio recording, where he basically stated that he was going to plan to forge the third record and send it to Jace. Guy's screwed. What else can I say? Oh well. Time flies when you don't care anymore, right? I'm going to go back to my career. I'm going to go back to doing what I do every other day. Such bullshit podcasts. Going to go back to doing regular videos. I know everyone saw me do a Cave Story stream a while back. I played Cave Story for the first time. Figured I'd play it while I was feeling like crap during Christmas. But all in all, I'm back. And now I don't have to be silent anymore. Kind of glad. I want to thank everyone that understood. That understood my intentions after Carl kind of figured it out and said it and said, oh, look, Maris ain't the bad guy. Maris was helping me. I had no fucking idea. I had no idea he was against Billy. Oh my god. This guy's been against Billy for a long time. Holy shit. He's been against Isaiah. My second wish, I hope Jace, bans Billy. Not bans Billy, bans Isaiah. Unban Rudy, ban Isaiah. No words, no discussion. If you just do that, I'll be a fucking happy camper. I'd be happy. That guy is the biggest fraud, even bigger than Billy. He has more Guinness World Record plaques sitting in his house that it's an embarrassment. The guy pretty much has them scattered all over his wall like fucking newspapers for a pet to piss on. It's bad. He needs to have all them pulled because they fucking attempted to sue Guinness World Records multiple times. They threatened Guinness World Records. They threatened Richard Allister, Craig Glenday. They were probably involved at one point in the past through Walter Day's bullshit shenanigan fraud, and now they got it fucking revealed out the ass, and now it was shown that they were caught up in the fraud years later. So I think it's time to pull all those records from Isaiah Guinness. I think it's time. Do the right thing. Correct video game history. Or make yourselves look like a joke. Because either way, life is just a game. You're all playing it with me. See you around.